Hello everybody, welcome to the I Am IT Geek YouTube channel. My name is Shabazda and as ever, I am the IT Geek. Welcome back to another episode within my Microsoft Cloud VDI series. It is now coming to an end. We have done good 40 odd episodes, between 40 and 50 episodes of this Cloud VDI topic. We've covered Azure DevBox, Microsoft DevBox, sorry, we've covered Windows 365 and we've done almost 15, this is the 16th episode with the AVD sort of section. So in the last episode, I covered I started the topic of FSLogix. We've got 2 more episodes left before that'll come to a close. So today we're going to talk more around the platform side of FSLogix and the back end. And then in the episode in a couple of days' time, which will be the third part of the FSLogix topic, I'm going to do actually a demo of some of the configuration you need to do on the Azure storage side. So obviously, it's been a long series, and also in the next episode, at the end after the demo, I'm actually going to launch my next topic that I'm going to be talking about. So stay tuned for that. For people who are watching, I've made some changes to my office. So what I want you to do is in the comments, drop me a comment around what have I changed and what's different around my office and around the background. You can probably, for those who keep a keen eye on that, maybe you can have a look at what I've changed. Okay, without further ado, let's get started with this episode. So this is a Microsoft Cloud VDI series. This is the penultimate episode, so second to last episode. We're still on user profile management. This is part 2. Today we're going to focus and talk about storage options, so around the Azure platform details, the management details, and the Azure file tiers as well. No demo. We'll do a demo in the last episode. So I want to start talking about the Azure platform details first. So Azure offers multiple sort of storage solutions that you can use to store your FSLogix profile containers. In this video, we're going to kind of explore those storage solutions that Azure offers for AVD, for sort of user profile management. Microsoft do recommend storing FSLogix profile containers on Azure files for most of its customers and sort of consumers. AVD offers FSLogix profile containers as a sort of recommended user profile solution, as I've mentioned. It's designed to run profiles in sort of VDI or remote sort of computing environments. This includes sort of AVD. What happens is at sign-in, this file container is going to dynamically attach itself to the computing environment, and it uses a native supported VHD or virtual hard disk. And that's basically a Hyper-V, or it's a VHDX, which is a Hyper-V virtual hard disk. The user profile is then immediately available, and it appears in the system exactly like it would like if you were a native user, a native user profile, when you have like a local device. All FSLogix containers can be stored on file shares that support SMB protocols. So this table in front of us is going to give us a bit of a comparison on the sort of storage solutions that Azure Storage offers for AVD, FSLogix container user profiles. So as you can see, we've got the features, we've got Azure files, Azure NetApp files, and storage space disk, storage space direct, which is the 3 sort of Azure supported solutions for FSLogix. So if we talk about the sort of features first, we'll talk about use case. With Azure files, it's very general purpose, right? Just a normal standard sort of user base. With Azure NetApp files, this is where we go a step further up. So it's general purpose, but at an enterprise scale. So you're talking hundreds and thousands of users potentially. And then with Storage Space Direct, this gives you more cross-platform compatibility. We'll talk about a platform service. Azure files and Azure NetApp files are both native solutions, whereas Storage Spaces Direct is a self-managed solution, so it's not native to Azure. From a regional availability perspective, Azure Files is available in all regions. Okay, it's a global service. Whereas Azure NetApp Files has sort of selected regions, and then Storage Spaces Direct is back to all regions availability. Now, redundancy is very different as well. So with Azure Files, we've got local redundant storage, we've got geo redundant storage, and we've got geo zone redundant storage as well. Now with Azure NetApp Files, again, this uses the LRS, so local redundant, and both ZRS and GRS, both of them too, with cross-region replication. So so LRS isn't cross-region. However, zone redundant storage and geo redundant storage are both cross-region replication with enterprise with Azure NetApp Files. With Storage Spaces Direct, it's a bit more simple. Local redundant storage, zone redundant storage, and geo redundant storage is available from a redundancy perspective. Then we talk about tiers of performance. So Azure Files is a very standard tier. With Azure NetApp Files, you've got standard tier, premium tier, and ultra tier available. And then with storage spaces direct, again, this is slightly different. You've got standard hard drive HDD, standard SSD, and premium SSD availability from a tiers and performance perspective. And then as we come to the end of the table, from a capacity perspective, Azure Files has 100 essentially terabytes per share and up to 5 petabytes per GP account, so basically GP account essentially. And then with Azure NetApp Files, this is 100 against similar 100 terabytes per volume this time, with 12.5 petabytes per NetApp account. And the storage spaces direct is basically a maximum of 32 terabytes per disk. And finally, from a required storage perspective, or a required infrastructure perspective, apologies, it has a minimum share size of 1 gig, so it has to be more than 1 gig, with Azure NetApp Files having a minimum 1 terabyte capacity pool and minimum volume size of 50 gig. But with storage spaces direct, again, there's sort of 2 ways you can do it. You can either do 2 VMs on Azure IaaS plus your Cloud Witness, so that's 3 VMs, or you can just do 3 VMs without that sort of witness and just the cost of the disks. Okay, so that's a little bit about the platform details. When we talk about management details now, so again, we've got sort of Azure Files, Azure NetApp Files, and storage spaces direct. From an access perspective, it's cloud accessible, on-premises, and hybrid. With Azure Files, with Azure NetApp Files, it's cloud or on-premises access. With storage spaces direct, it's cloud or on-premises access as well. So Azure NetApp Files doesn't have any sort of hybrid, even just storage spaces direct. From a backup perspective, Azure Files obviously has your backup snapshot. With Azure NetApp Files, you've got Azure NetApp File Snapshots or Azure NetApp Files Backup. And then with storage spaces direct, it does have integration with Azure Backup Snapshot. From a security and compliance perspective, Azure Files is all Azure supported certificates, as is Azure NetApp Files and as is storage spaces direct. And finally, from a Microsoft Fabric integration perspective, Azure Files is native Active Directory domain services and Entra domain services, as is NetApp Files, and as is storage spaces direct as well. So they all integrate with native ADDS and Entra. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the actual tiering now, so from the Azure File tier perspective. Azure Files offers 2 different tiers of storage. So you've got Premium and you've got Standard. These tiers are going to let you tailor the performance and the cost of your file shares to meet your own organization sort of scenario requirements. When we talk about standard file shares, these are backed by sort of HDDs, so hard disk drives, and they're deployed in sort of the general purpose version 2 or GPv2 storage account types. Standard file shares provide reliable performance for I/O workloads that are less sensitive to sort of performance variability, such as general purpose file shares and sort of dev test environments. Standard file shares use the pay-as-you-go billing model where you pay based on the storage you use, including data stored and transactions. You then have the premium file shares. These are backed by the SSD, so the solid state drives, and are deployed in the sort of file storage account type. Premium file shares provide consistent high performance and low latency for input and output I/O in sort of intensive workloads. Premium file shares use a provision billing account when you pay for the amount of storage you would like the file share to have, regardless of how much you're going to use. So let's just look at this in table form. So this table is going to list the sort of Microsoft recommendations for which performance tier is based on which workload. And these recommendations are going to help organizations and you select the performance tier is going to meet your performance targets, your budget, and the sort of regional considerations, so like compliance considerations that you've got to think about. So we'll talk about workload type. So for a light, we're talking like fewer than 200 users here. The recommended file tier is the standard file share. When you're talking light, but it's more than 200 users, you're looking at premium file share or standard with multiple file shares, okay? With a medium workload type, heavy type, and power workload type, these are all going to, Microsoft recommend sort of a premium file share, okay? Okay, that's the end of this. A bit of a smaller theoretical episode there. The final episode is going to be part 3 of the FSLogix sort of topic, and like I said, I'm going to launch my next sort of series as well, which I won't give anything away yet. And we're going to do a demo in the next episode as well. So, like I said, drop me a comment with what you see that's different in my office. Try and pin, see who's observant. And I'm sure people might cheat and go back to my previous videos to have a look. But let me know what's different in my office. I'm going to put a link to some of the members-only videos I've got, especially around, they're all certificate-based, so Microsoft certificate-based. Got my AZ900, my MS900 is launching hopefully at the end of this week. I've got my Azure lab stuff, which is so my Azure fundamental labs, which are going to launch as well this week. So I've got a lot of stuff coming out for members as well. So I'll put the link to join in the description as well. And again, please, if you're watching, you're not a subscriber, get subscribed. I've got loads of content planned for this year, loads of cool content coming out for non-members as well. So thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye.